The first kick landed hard in his ribs. The old man crumpled without a sound, like a sack of bones dumped on the cold subway floor. The train clattered through the tunnel, its lights flickering in strobe-like flashes. The carriage nearly empty. One of the three teens, tall in an oversized puffer jacket, leaned in and sneered, "Hand it over, Grandpa, or we'll make you a statue right here." The old man said nothing. His face was a map of time and scars, unreadable. Only his fingers tightened around a worn leather briefcase, holding it to his chest like it held the last piece of who he was. The second teen, lean and wiry with tattoos peeking from his sleeves, yanked the briefcase free and tossed it open on the floor. A few bills fluttered out. A faded photograph of a young man in uniform. A medal in a velvet box. "Damn," he laughed, picking up the medal. "What is this? Some war shit?" Before we continue, comment below which city you're from. The third one, shorter and stockier, already had his phone out and was filming. "This one's going viral, bro. Hashtag Metro Beatdown. Let's make this fossil famous." The old man groaned, trying to rise. His coat hung open, revealing a sweater meticulously patched at the elbows. His hands trembled as he reached for the photo. The tall one stomped his hand. Hard. "Stay down, Gramps. You ain't got anything we want. Except maybe your shoes. You think them orthopedic joints are fire?" They laughed, drunk on adrenaline and dominance. One of them nudged the photo toward the gap between the train seats with his boot, letting it slip partway under the rail. "Oops." The old man tried to reach for it again, his body shaking, but the wiry teen slapped his hand away. "Nah, I said stay down." "What's with the medal anyway?" asked the one with the phone. He zoomed in on the velvet box, tapping the screen. "Silver Star? Purple Heart? Dude's a walking museum." "More like a trash bin," the tall one muttered. "Bet he got it for shooting squirrels." The mockery came louder now, almost gleeful. They circled him like sharks. The man wheezed, his lungs weak, eyes still locked on that photo. Like if he lost sight of it, he'd vanish with it. One boy kicked the briefcase aside, laughing as it skidded under a bench. Then something shifted in the rhythm of the car. The train rumbled deeper into a dark tunnel. The lights flickered with more urgency. The overhead intercom crackled once and went dead. At the far end of the carriage, the door creaked open. A figure stepped through. He was in his 50s, tall and broad-shouldered under a long wool coat. His left hand gripped a cane, but his posture didn't suggest weakness. He moved with a quiet, coiled precision, like a man familiar with violence but no longer impressed by it. He took a few steps down the aisle, then stopped. He didn't speak. He just watched. At first, the boys didn't notice. The one filming was too busy narrating. "Yo, this gonna blow up. Say something, Gramps. Tell the world why you got stomped." But then he saw the reflection. The boy with the phone froze. The tall one turned, blinking. "What's this, bro?" he barked. "Yo, you lost or something, old head?" No answer. The man in the coat calmly removed his gloves. Leather, black, worn but polished, one finger at a time. The wiry teen raised his chin. "You deaf? We said keep moving." No flinch, no blink. Then the air changed. It pressed in. Like the world itself had taken a breath. The man's voice came like a whisper carried through thunder. "That's enough." The words weren't loud. They didn't need to be. They hit like a gavel. The teens laughed, unsure, until the man stepped forward. Just once. The cane tapped the floor, a simple sound. But it rang through the car like a gunshot. The laughter died. The subway fell silent. They didn't know who he was, but every instinct screamed they were about to find out, and they'd already gone too far. The tallest teen squared up, puffing out his chest. "You gonna play hero now, old man? Walk away before you end up like your buddy." Still no answer. The man's eyes moved slowly, measuring each of them. His gaze was calm, but something underneath burned. Not anger, something colder. The stocky teen with the phone lowered it slightly, as if sensing something wrong in the air. "Hey man, for real, just move on. This don't gotta be your problem." The man's voice, low and precise, cut through the silence. "Walk away." The wiry one laughed, loud and false. "We got a real Clint Eastwood over here." He shook the metal box. "This yours, Pops? You some kind of vet? Ooh, rah, and all that?" The man didn't flinch, but he took another step forward. "Put the metal down. Leave the case. Walk away." The cane moved slightly, barely noticeable, but the gesture was surgical, practiced, controlled. The tall one scoffed. "Nah, I think you need a lesson in minding your business." He stepped in, cocking his fist back. The man moved first. In one fluid motion, he angled the cane and swept the teen's legs out. The boy crashed hard to the floor, the back of his head smacking against the metal rail. A sickening thud echoed. Before anyone could react, the man stepped over him and used the cane like a lever, pinning the tall one by the throat. Not crushing, just holding. Like a promise. The wiry one shouted, lunging with the metal box. The man turned, sidestepped, and with one precise elbow strike drove it into the boy's ribs. A choked scream. He dropped. Only the one with the phone remained. Pale. Still. "Pick it up," the man said. The boy blinked. What?" "The case, the metal, pick it up, give it back." He nodded fast, scrambling over to gather the items. He placed them carefully by the old man, who was now half sitting, wheezing. The man turned to him, knelt. "You all right, Sarge?" The old man coughed, blood at the corner of his mouth, but gave a weak nod. "Didn't think I'd need backup on the metro." "You didn't. I was already on board." The other man rose and faced the teens again. "Next stop, you get off, you say nothing." They didn't argue. Take a pause and write in the comments what you would do in the hero's place. Now keep listening. The subway began to slow, screeching toward the next station. The tall one coughed, curling into himself. The wiry one clutched his ribs. The stocky one helped them both up, eyes avoiding the strangers. The train stopped. The doors opened. The teens exited without a word. No bravado now, just silence. The doors closed again. The train pulled away. Only the old man and the stranger remained. The old man took a breath, long and shaky. "You didn't have to do that," he murmured. The stranger looked down at him. "They had no idea who you are." The old man gave a hollow chuckle. "Maybe that's for the best." The younger man sat across from him. "You kept the medal." "It's the last one they gave me. Thought I'd bury it with the memories." The younger man's face softened. "I thought you moved to Florida." "I did. Came back for the reunion. Saw the city still hasn't changed." "You didn't call." "I didn't want a scene." The younger man leaned forward. "You got one anyway." The old man smiled grimly. "Some things never change." The stranger looked at the medal again. "You ever regret it?" The old man shook his head slowly. Only when I forget why I did it. The stranger nodded, then looked out the window as the tunnel blurred past. You ready to come back? The old man's eyes narrowed. Come back to what? The younger man's response was a whisper. To finish what we started. The subway car rolled on into a longer stretch of tunnel, the screech of metal on metal echoing in their ears. The lights flickered once more, briefly plunging them into half-darkness before stabilizing. Inside, the air hung heavy with the tension of what had just occurred. The three teens sat in stunned silence by the doors, nursing bruises and egos. The tall one rubbed his throat where the cane had pinned him. The wiry one cradled his side, eyes downcast. The one with the phone looked like he was replaying every second in his mind, trying to make sense of how quickly everything had gone wrong. The stranger sat across from the old man now, his cane resting across his knees. He hadn't said a word since the teen sat down, but his presence filled the space. He was calm, but coiled, like he could detonate again at any second. The old man wiped blood from his lip with a handkerchief pulled from his coat pocket. Still quick with that stick, he muttered. The stranger nodded slightly. You're still too stubborn to yell for help. The old man chuckled, which turned into a cough. I didn't want a crowd, or an ambulance. You got me instead. Worse luck for them. They shared a brief moment of eye contact, one forged over decades, through fire, dirt, and silence, the kind of bond no ceremony or rank could capture. You kept it, the stranger said, nodding at the medal now resting beside the old man. The old man's hand hovered over it. Didn't plan to. Thought I'd leave it behind. Let the past die quietly. It never does. No. It just waits for someone to kick it back to life. The train lurched as it began slowing again. Another station. Another blank, tiled platform. You didn't even hesitate, the old man said, glancing at him. I knew who you were the moment I saw the photo fall. You still watching me? Always. The doors opened. No one boarded. The teens looked up nervously. The stranger stood. Out! None of them moved. He tapped the cane once. The tall one stood first, still grimacing. The wiry one followed, limping. The one with the phone hesitated the longest, but finally joined the others. As they filed out, the stranger watched them with a look that promised remembering. The doors hissed shut behind them. The train pulled out. The old man exhaled. You shouldn't have gotten involved. You taught me better than that. I taught you to choose your fights. You're the one who taught me not to walk away from them. The old man smiled despite himself. I remember that. First lesson. Back when I still thought I was invincible. Back when you were. They lapsed into silence. The train now carved its way into a quieter part of the line, where the roar dulled to a hum. Still got the key? The stranger asked. The old man reached under his shirt and pulled out a chain. A small black key dangled at the end. The stranger pulled out a match. Same make. Same serial. You kept yours too, the old man said. The stranger nodded. They said we'd never need them again. They lied. The stranger leaned closer. Something's happening. That attack tonight wasn't random. Your name popped up on a list 2 days ago. The old man tensed. I'm supposed to be off the grid. You were. But someone leaked the archives. Someone wants you gone. Who? The stranger's eyes darkened. Names we know, faces we trusted. The old man picked up the medal and placed it gently back in the case. I'm in, he said. I haven't told you the mission. I don't need to know it. I know you. The train hummed into a slow glide, casting a rhythmic vibration through the floor. The old man leaned his head against the window, eyes half-lidded. Every breath was a reminder of age, pain, and memory. You shouldn't have come back, the stranger said, voice barely audible over the rails. I never really left, the old man replied. You know that. The stranger nodded, rubbing the worn handle of his cane. I figured. The city still has its grip on you. You think it's the city? No. It's the ghosts. Silence settled again. Outside, the tunnels flashed past in smears of light and shadow. The man's hand moved to his coat pocket, pulling out a folded piece of paper. This came through 4 days ago. The old man opened it. A classified report. Redacted lines. But one name, his, appeared more than once. He read it all, then folded it back up and held it between his fingers. They're tying up loose ends, he said quietly. They already got Mathis. We lost contact with Chen 2 nights ago. The old man closed his eyes. And Arroyo? He's holed up in a secure site. Requested you. A slow exhale. That man never learned how to say goodbye. He thinks you're the only one who can close the loop. The old man tapped the briefcase. Still think I carry this out of nostalgia? No. I think you never stopped expecting a moment like this. The old man chuckled dryly. Hell of a reunion. A long silence stretched between them. Then the stranger said, What happened out there? The thing none of us could talk about. It's back. Or someone thinks it's worth waking up. The old man's voice grew hard. They really want to open that box? It's already open. We're trying to keep the pieces from falling out. The train slowed again. Dim lights revealed another station, abandoned, grime-covered, forgotten by the maps. We get off here, the stranger said. The old man looked around. No crowd, no cameras, just like the old days. They stood. The old man took his briefcase, the younger man adjusted his coat. Their movement was deliberate, like men preparing not for travel, but for war. The platform greeted them with cold air and silence. 2 black SUVs idled by a barricade. A woman in tactical gear stepped out and nodded. Colonel, she said. Sir? The stranger returned the nod. He's coming in. The convoy moved in tight formation, headlights dimmed, their vehicles crawling through the industrial wasteland toward the decommissioned site marked in crimson. A concrete shell surrounded the perimeter, once a power substation, now a fortress hiding sins too old to confess. Inside the lead SUV, the old man checked his sidearm again, not out of nervousness, but ritual. Arroyo sat beside him, silence resting between them like a sleeping beast. You ready? Arroyo asked, his voice low. I've been ready since '89, the old man said. Just didn't know for what. The radio crackled. Position in place, visuals clear. Copy that, Arroyo answered. They stepped out. The air was metallic, thick with the scent of rust and burnt ozone. Above them, a drone hovered, a distant eye on ancient warriors. They approached the gate. 2 guards stood in black armor, no insignia. One raised a hand. Clearance? The old man stepped forward, drawing a badge from his coat. One not seen since the Cold War. The guard hesitated, scanned it, then nodded. The gate opened. Inside was quiet. Too quiet. They passed rusted terminals, long-dead transformers, crates marked with false company logos. Then the hallway, dim lights, steel doors, cameras tracking every move. At the end, a room with a single table and a man seated with his back to them. He turned slowly, and everything stopped. The old man blinked. "You?" he whispered. The seated man smiled faintly, not mocking, almost sad. "Hello, Major." It was the last name on the list. The name they thought was a clerical error. A friend. A brother. A traitor. The air froze. Arroyo's hand hovered near his coat. The stranger, once the old man's teammate, just raised a palm. "No need. You're already dead if I wanted you to be." "Why?" the old man said. The man at the table leaned forward. "Because Halberd didn't die. It evolved, and it needed a shepherd. Someone who believed in the mission, not the orders. You sold us out. I saved us. You just don't see it yet." Arroyo drew, but he was too slow. A gunshot. Loud. Final. The traitor collapsed, a bloom of red across his chest. Behind him, in the shadows, the younger man, his cane now a collapsed rifle, stepped forward. The old man turned. "You knew." "I suspected." The room was quiet, until Arroyo spoke. "Mission complete?" The old man shook his head. "Just beginning." They retrieved the files, burned the servers, walked out into the cold night. No ceremony, no headlines, just wind and the hum of a drone overhead. As they drove away, the old man stared out the window. "Sir?" the younger man asked. The old man's voice was a whisper. "He was the one who gave me the medal." And then nothing. Only silence and the dark road ahead. She opened the door. The old man paused. "What's the name of the op?" "Halberd." He froze for a beat. "That wasn't supposed to exist." The stranger looked at him. "It never stopped existing. It just went underground." The old man climbed in. Inside, the SUV was silent, but for the hum of encrypted tech and the rustle of paper. The woman handed over a tablet. Names, locations, patterns. The old man's fingers hovered, then scrolled. One entry made him stiffen. This can't be right." The stranger leaned over. "It is. That's why I came myself." The old man turned slowly. His voice had lost all softness. "That name, if it's on this list, means we've already lost." "No, it means you were right." He nodded once, then reached under his coat and pulled out a small revolver. "Get me to Arroyo. We end this tonight." The SUV roared quietly through deserted back streets, its tinted windows hiding 2 generations of ghosts. The old man sat beside the younger one, tablet in hand, eyes fixed on the names glowing in the dark interior. "Who else knows about this?" he asked. "Just the inner ring," the stranger replied. "And they're divided. Some want to burn it down. Others want to use it." The old man shook his head. "They never learn." He tapped on the screen, expanding one file. Photographs. Surveillance. One of the teens from the subway. But this time with someone else. An older man, well-dressed. Recognizable. "Langley asset," the old man muttered. "No way that's a coincidence." "It's not," the stranger said. "That kid was a mule. The beatdown? Staged. They didn't want you dead. They wanted you outed." The old man absorbed that in silence. "They want to flush us out," the stranger added. "The key holders. The old man glanced at his chest, where the chain rested under his shirt. You told me they burned the list. They did, or so we thought. The SUV came to a halt at a security checkpoint. Guards approached, scanned them, nodded. The gates opened, revealing a warehouse-turned-command center. Inside, men and women in black moved like shadows. They entered. The air was cool and metallic. Desks lined with screens. A central war table. At its head stood Arroyo. Time had grayed his hair, but not dulled his eyes. He stepped forward, his cane clicking once on the concrete. "Major," he said. The old man stared. "Last time you said that, we were under artillery fire. And you still showed up. I didn't come for you." "No. You came because you knew it wasn't over." The old man looked around. "This setup, it's bigger than I expected." Arroyo nodded. "We had to adapt. Everything changed after '06. The mission didn't die. It mutated." "Who's leading now?" "That's the problem," Arroyo said. "There's no clear chain anymore. Just power vacuums and people playing God." The old man walked to the center of the table, placed the tablet down. "Show me the plan." Arroyo turned to a screen and tapped in a sequence. A map bloomed. Intersections, pins, red zones. "This is ground zero," he said, "where Halberd first cracked." "And this," said the stranger, stepping beside him, "is where it resurfaces. A leak, a transaction, a betrayal." The old man's face darkened. "And that's where we go." They all stared at the point marked in crimson. An industrial lot. Secure. Remote. Officially decommissioned. "It'll be guarded," Arroyo warned. The old man nodded. "Then we bring fire." He turned to the stranger. "You still good with long range?" "As ever." "Then you'll be my eyes. I'll breach with Arroyo." Arroyo raised an eyebrow. "You sure about that?" "Always." The old man opened his briefcase for the first time in years. Inside, neatly maintained, was a silenced sidearm, 2 knives, and a photograph of 3 men in uniform. He placed the photo on the table, pointed to each. "They took him, and him, but not me. Not yet." He picked up the gun, checked the magazine, slid it back with a quiet snap. "Let's show them what happens when history refuses to stay buried."